You cannot stay here. The words were cold, sharp, like a door slamming shut. I'm begging you, just listen to me. Security. He didn't even get to finish. 2 guards stepped forward. No anger on their faces, just silence. Like this was routine. Like he was nothing. They grabbed his arm. People watched. But no one spoke. Not when his bag fell to the floor. Not when his voice cracked trying to explain. I have nowhere else to go. Still, no one moved. And standing right there, watching everything, was a man who would change all of their lives forever. The hallway was too quiet. Bright white lights stretched across the ceiling of St. Gabriel Medical Center, washing everything in a cold, unforgiving glow. The smell of antiseptic hung heavy in the air. Clean, but lifeless. He stood there, frozen. A thin man. Early 40s. Dark skin, deep, rich brown with tired undertones. His shirt was wrinkled, slightly damp with sweat. His shoes, worn at the edges. And now, empty hands. The security guard dropped his small bag at his feet like it meant nothing. Like he meant nothing. I said leave, the administrator repeated. His name was Mr. Kofi Mensah. Tall. Impossibly straight posture. A charcoal suit that fit like it was stitched onto his body. Not a single crease. Not a single flaw. His face was calm. Too calm. Eyes cold. Distant. Like he had already decided this man didn't exist. You violated policy, Kofi said flatly. No authorization. No clearance. No payment. The man swallowed hard. His lips trembled. There was no time. He was dying. That is not your decision to make. The words landed heavy. Final. Around them, nurses walked past, pretending not to see. Machines beeped softly in nearby rooms. Life continuing as if nothing was happening. But something was happening. A man was being thrown out. Not for doing something wrong, but for doing something right. And no one was stopping it. And then, there was someone else. Standing at the far end of the hallway, almost blending into the wall like a shadow no one noticed. A man. Thin. Quiet. Still. He wore a faded gray uniform, the kind janitors wear. The fabric was old, slightly loose, sleeves rolled just enough to reveal rough, calloused hands. In his grip, a mop handle. Held not tightly, but steady, like it grounded him. His skin was dark, deep ebony with warm undertones. His face, sharp, defined by years of silence. High cheekbones. A jaw that looked like it had learned how to stay clenched. But it was his eyes. That didn't belong in that hallway. They were not empty. Not tired. They were deep. The kind of eyes that had seen loss, power, and things most people never survive. He didn't move. Didn't speak. He just watched. Watched as the guards pushed the man closer to the exit. Watched as the administrator turned his back without a second thought. Watched everything. And for a brief moment, his fingers tightened around the mop. Just slightly. So small, no one noticed. But something in his expression changed. Not anger. Not yet. Something quieter. Something more dangerous. The kind of silence that comes before a storm. Because this man was not just a janitor. And before this day was over, everyone in that hospital would learn his name. But this story didn't begin in that hallway. It began the night before. Rain was falling hard. Not the soft kind, the kind that whispers. This was different. Heavy. Violent. The kind that soaks through skin and reaches your bones. The streets outside St. Gabriel Medical Center were almost empty. Water rushed along the sidewalks like small rivers. And through that storm, a man was running, barely holding on. He clutched a small boy in his arms, wrapped in a thin blanket already drenched with rain. "Stay with me, please, my son. Stay with me." His voice trembled. Broken. The boy was too still. Too quiet. His breathing shallow. Wrong. The man's clothes were soaked through. cheap fabric clinging to his thin frame. His slippers slapped against the wet ground with every desperate step. He had no car, no money, no time, only fear. He burst through the hospital doors, dripping water onto the clean white floor. Heads turned, not with concern, but with irritation. The front desk nurse looked up. Her eyes moved quickly, the wet clothes, the shaking hands, the absence of anything that looked like money. "Please," he said, struggling for breath. "My son, he cannot breathe. Please help." She hesitated, just for a second. But in that second, everything changed. "You need to fill out the forms first," she said flatly. "Take a seat." The man blinked, confused, desperate. "He is dying." Her expression didn't move, because in that place, before help came, money came first. And standing there, in the middle of that cold, bright hospital, a father realized something terrifying. Saving his son was not going to be that simple. And then, someone saw him. Not the wet clothes, not the empty hands, but the fear. She stepped forward from the far end of the emergency room. Calm, focused, certain. Her name was Nala Okoye, a nurse, early 30s. Warm brown skin with soft golden undertones. Her hair pulled back neatly, a few loose strands clinging to her forehead from a long night shift. Her eyes, the kind that made people feel safe, even before she spoke. She looked at the boy. 1 second. That was all she needed. "Get me a bed. Now." Her voice cut through the room. Sharp, commanding, different. The front desk nurse hesitated. "He hasn't filled." "I said now." Silence. Then movement. They rushed the boy onto a stretcher. Nala moved quickly, like she had done this 1,000 times before, checking his pulse, listening to his chest. Her expression changed. Serious. Dangerously serious. His breathing was fading. "We need oxygen." 4-line. "Prepare antibiotics." "But there's no file. No clearance." Nala didn't look up. "He doesn't have time for paperwork." The father stood frozen, watching, not understanding everything, but understanding this. Someone was finally helping his son. "Stay with me, little one," Nala whispered softly, adjusting the mask over the boy's face. Her hands were steady, but her heart was racing, because she knew the truth. She was breaking the rules. No authorization, no approval, no guarantee she wouldn't pay for this later. But she also knew something else, something stronger. If she stopped, this child would die. So she didn't stop. She pushed forward, every second, every decision, every risk. Because in that moment, she wasn't thinking about policies, or consequences, or her job. She was thinking about one thing only: saving a life. And sometimes, doing the right thing comes with a price. Morning came, but not with peace. At exactly 8:10 a.m., the report landed on his desk. A single file. Thin, simple, but enough to ruin everything. Mr. Kofi Mensah adjusted his cufflinks as he read. His face didn't change. Not when he saw the name. Not when he saw the treatment given. And definitely not when he saw the words. No payment source. He leaned back slowly. Calm. Controlled. Dangerously calm. Who authorized this? His voice was quiet, but sharp enough to cut through the room. The assistant hesitated. "Sir, it appears Nurse Nala proceeded based on emergency judgment." Silence. Then a small exhale. Not frustration. Not anger. Something colder. Emergency does not override policy. He stood up, straightened his suit. Every movement precise, calculated. "That child is to be transferred immediately." The assistant blinked. "Sir, he's still unstable." "I am not asking." The room fell silent. "Send him to a public facility. Somewhere appropriate for his status." Status. The word hung in the air like poison. And the nurse. Kofi paused at the door. Just for a second. Prepare a report. That was all he said. No shouting. No threats. But everyone in that room understood. A decision had been made. Not about a patient, but about a price. And somewhere, on the 7th floor, a woman was about to learn what it costs to choose humanity over rules. The order reached the floor at 8:27 a.m. Printed. Signed. Final. Transfer the patient immediately. Nala read it once. Then again. Her fingers tightened around the paper. No, she whispered. The charge nurse stepped closer. Nala, it came from administration. You know what this means. Nala looked toward the room. Through the glass. The boy lay still, oxygen mask rising and falling with each fragile breath. His father sat beside him, holding his hand like it was the only thing keeping him alive. They move him now, Nala said slowly. He won't make it. Silence. Heavy. Suffocating. You have to follow the order. Nala shook her head. Not fast. Not dramatic. Just certain. No. The word landed like a stone. I'm not sending him anywhere. The room went still. Every nurse, every sound, paused. Nala, you could lose your job. She didn't look away from the boy. Then I lose it. A breath. A decision. A line. She refused to cross. Because if I let him go... Her voice broke, just slightly. He dies. And in that moment, she chose. Not her career. Not her future. But a life. The hallway felt colder now. Too quiet. Hand over your badge. Nala didn't move at first. She just stood there, still in her scrubs, still holding on to the last pieces of a job she had given years to. Effective immediately, Kofi said, his voice flat. You are terminated. The words didn't shout. They didn't need to. They hit. Anyway. For saving him? Nala asked softly. Kofi didn't answer. Because to him, that wasn't the point. A security guard stepped forward. Slowly, almost gently, he unclipped her badge. That small piece of plastic, her name, her identity, gone in a second. Around them, people watched. Eyes lowered. No one spoke. They handed her a small box. The kind they give you when they don't expect you to come back. Nala took it. Her hands steady, but her chest heavy. As she walked past the room, she slowed down. Just for a moment. Her fingers brushed the door. Soft. Silent. Inside, the boy was still breathing. Because of her. And somehow, that made the pain worse. She stepped outside the hospital doors. Alone. With nothing. Except the truth. She did the right thing. And lost everything. Inside the hospital. The hallway was empty now. Except for one man. The janitor. Still standing in the same place. Still holding that mop. But this time, he moved. Slowly. He turned, and walked into a small storage room. He closed the door behind him. Silence. Then, he reached into his pocket, and pulled out a phone. Not old. Not broken. Sleek. Expensive. He pressed one number. It rang once. Sir. A voice answered immediately. Respectful. Alert. The man's expression changed. No more silence. No more shadows. Prepare the jet, he said calmly. Find out who owns this hospital. A pause. His eyes darkened. And buy it. Silence on the other end. Then, yes, sir. He ended the call. Looked down at his uniform. At the mop in his hand. And for the first time, he smiled. Because he was never just a janitor. And now, everything was about to change. The next morning, everything felt the same. Same hallway. Same walls. Same cold silence. But something had changed. At exactly 9 a.m., a black car stopped outside the hospital. Then another. And another. Inside, whispers started spreading. Board members, legal team. What's going on? In his office, Kofi frowned. This wasn't routine. His phone rang. He answered, listened, and for the first time, his face changed. Color drained. Confidence cracked. The hospital has been sold, the voice said. Effective immediately, your position is terminated. Silence. The man who fired without emotion was now standing without power. Outside, another car stopped. Nala stepped out, confused, unsure. The door opened for her, not by a guard, but by the same man who once stood in the shadows. No uniform now, no mop, only power. You chose a life over rules, he said softly, and people like you should be in charge. He handed her a new badge, her name, but a different title. She looked at it, then at the hospital. The same doors, the same place, but not the same story, because the same door they forced her out of was the one she walked back through, as the one in charge.